Insects are the most diverse, numerous creatures in nature. They are found all over the planet. Though small in size and short in lifespan, they are full of vitality. After the arduous evolution of the Earth, they still survive. The insects first appeared in the Devonian period, 350 million years ago. In comparison, humans have only a history of over 2 million years. In many such nature documentaries, we see tigers and cheetahs hunting herbivores. These fierce animals usually have unique skills and hunt alone. In the insect kingdom, there are also fierce predators. In the quiet forest of Gaowangjie Nature Reserve in western Hunan, the air is clean and refreshing after heavy rain. Beetles are foraging on mossy trunks. Snails are slowly crawling on their favorite wild grass. Earthworms have also emerged from the soil. None of the animals want to miss the beautiful sunny weather. Now, carabid beetles hiding under rocks and dead leaves also climb out for food. They act alone. Upon encountering another of their kind, they'll try to kill each other. Living in the dark, carabid beetles' eyes have deteriorated. So have their wings due to poor flying skills. But thanks to a large number of sensory cells on their antennae, they have a keen sense of smell, enabling them to smell the nearby prey. They are susceptible to the odor of earthworms. Soon, the carabid beetle discovers their target, one of its favorite delicacies. When insects feed on their prey, they sense the presence of their next meal by their sense of smell and touch, then decide whether to eat it or not by having a taste. Earthworms were called insects in ancient China, but according to the classification in modern entomology, they have nothing to do with insects. They belong to annelids, which live in moist and well-ventilated soil, feeding on the humus of decaying plants formed by fallen leaves and dry grass. Earthworms have no legs. According to the definition in modern entomology, the critical feature of being classified as an insect is 6 legs. Therefore, carabid beetles are real insects. Each carabid beetle has its territory where the prey belongs to itself only. This carabid beetle soon smells its prey. It charges toward the target. As soon as the earthworm feels the beetle's open jaw, it tries to escape, but it's too late. As we know, the carabid beetle is also called the walking beetle because it crawls so quickly. The earthworm could never outrun it. The beetle then controls the situation with its trump card, their incredibly sharp jaws. With no self-protection, the earthworm struggles desperately, but it only stimulates the appetite and bloodthirst of the beetle. The stag beetle wandering around the nearby tree is not here to fish in troubled water because it isn't interested in meat. It's only obsessed with the juice seeping out of the scars of the bark. Though both belong to the Coleoptera and live alone, stag and carabid beetles have completely different feeding patterns. The latter eats meat, and the former is vegetarian. The stag beetle lives in the tree and can move in groups, while the carabid beetle lives on the ground and hunts alone. Stag beetles will not compete for food and territory with carabid beetles, nor will they hunt like carabid beetles. Compared with carabid beetles, stag beetles are very gentle. Even if stag beetles meet while foraging, they will never hurt one another because they are absolute vegetarians. On the warm and humid slopes of the central plains of China, bees gather honey from flowers, butterflies enjoy delicious pollen, and snails search for their favorite weeds on the ground, presenting a peaceful scene. However, nearby, a carabid beetle stares at a snail, a tempting delicacy. It's easy to catch a snail as they are notoriously slow, but it isn't easy to eat. Unlike earthworms, snails have shells for their protection. When the carabid beetle climbs over to bite the snail's head, the snail retracts quickly into its shell. The snail may think that the predator can do nothing to it, but the predator patiently searches for the weak spot in the snail's shell. Soon, it bites a crack in the shell, and most of the flesh inside is gradually exposed. The beetle's sharp jaws give this hunter an essential advantage. A large amount of mucus secreted by the snail covers the mouth of the beetle, stopping it from ripping and biting. While the beetle stops to clean off the mucus, the snail tries to take the chance to escape. Although it climbs onto the beetle's back, it's quickly thrown off. Now, the beetle can enjoy its delicious meal. Carabid beetles' hunting stories are still ongoing. They forage on the ground and hunt pine caterpillars on trees. Even though pine caterpillars are covered in burrs, it cannot hinder their feeding. The beetles will cut the caterpillars' bellies open and feed on them from the inside. Carabid beetles obtain the nutrients and energy they need from various prey. There are no inherently good or evil insects in nature. Rather, all insects play different roles in the ecosystem. Why do snails and other vegetarian insects not reproduce exponentially? Because the carabid beetle at the top of the food chain is one of their natural enemies that control their numbers. When a carabid beetle is hunting, it overtakes its prey by tearing at it with its big jaws. The mouth of the beetle is called the mandibulate mouthparts, or chewing mouthpart in entomology. This is the most primitive mouthpart of insects, looking like a pair of pliers with sharp teeth, suitable for ripping and biting prey with shells like snails. The bite force of the carabid beetle is exceptionally significant. There are about 500 species of carabid beetles in China with a wide distribution. All carabid beetles are carnivorous insects that are fierce and powerful. They can be considered the most powerful killer among insects. We find a Tenodera sinensis lying on a small branch in the Jianfengling Nature Reserve on Hainan Island. When a cicada crawls toward a higher branch after sucking the juice from the former branch, it's targeted by the mantis, which has been lurking in wait for a long time. The mantis's eyes are fixed on the cicada. With eyesight of a horizontal view angle of 360 degrees and a vertical angle of around 70 degrees, the mantis can observe surrounding moving objects clearly. It almost has no blind spot in the horizontal direction other than a small blind spot of 90 degrees below its head, enabling it to observe every move of its prey. When the mantis hunts, its eyes are essential. With its eyes fixed on its prey, it slowly crawls toward it. As soon as it enters the attack distance, it can't resist the desire to strike. But mantises only attack moving prey. As long as the target remains motionless, it will escape from being killed, which is the rule for many insects to survive. For instance, this stick insect that lives near the mantis follows this survival law and lies motionless on the branch. In this way, its kind has repeatedly escaped from its enemy, the mantis. Rhombodera latipronotum is also waiting for its next prey, but it must hide well before its target appears, because it needs to stay undetected by both its prey and the birds. It waits patiently in the grass, surrounded by many katydids, like herbivores on the grassland. A katydid or bush cricket comes out to forage. It's about the same weight as the mantis. To conceal its intention to attack and lower its prey's guard, the mantis simulates the shaking of leaves and camouflages itself to look flawless, which brings a false sense of security to the katydid. The ritual of etiquette is both the prelude to its attack and the warm-up. When it targets the katydid, it will retract its front legs and support its body with its 4 back legs. Nerves on edge, it calculates the attack distance with precision. Once caught, its prey's desperate struggle is useless. A grown mantis has more sophisticated hunting skills, fast attack speed, and astonishing response time. Tenodera sinensis is a cunning killer among insects. It isn't just an ordinary insect. It is brave, fierce, clever, and good at observation. Every time before hunting, it keeps swiveling its head. This flower seems different. Why is it swaying without any wind? Actually, it's a special member of the mantis family, the orchid mantis, which simulates the sway of flowers in the breeze. This is the signature move of most mantises. Still, due to its flower-like shape and color, its disguise is truly unique, especially the stunning pink color, which is more deceptive than the green of most mantises. Pink is like an orchid mantis's splendid attire for a black-tie dinner. It hides in flowers and deceives many pollinating insects. In the nymphal stage, the orchid mantis is pink, which means it isn't an adult yet. At this stage, the orchid mantis rarely lurks in flowers. Instead, it creeps on tree trunks. In this way, it can confuse its enemies to protect itself while disguising itself to attack prey unexpectedly. A bee accidentally falls into the trap of the orchid mantis. It came here to collect nectar. The bee thought this place was safe, not expecting a flower to pose a fatal threat to it. The orchid mantis suddenly launches an attack on the bee from the flowers, and the poor bee becomes its breakfast. In fact, besides foraging in flowers, orchid mantises prefer to lie in green leaves to imitate flowers to attract and deceive more pollinating insects for hunting. In late autumn, the sunshine in the Yanshan Mountains is still warm, but the weather cools in the valley. This male Tenodera sinensis must make the best use of hunting time. In addition to providing itself with nutrition before its wedding, it has to find a spouse for multiplying. Although the male mantis finally finds its partner and holds a wedding as it desires, it will instead be eaten by its bride after marriage. In the opinion of humans, this is really cruel. But according to the laws of the mantis family, every animal is edible.